Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome all of you back to Ohio ExoPolitics. I'm your host, Mark Snider. Alexander, welcome back to the show. You look kind of Mexican today, but it looks good.
Happy to be here, man. Yeah, just rolling with the vibe of the area today. For the people
Ah,
that are seeing this on video, they can
you,
appreciate it.
you, they seen a video. What do you mean a video?
No, the people that
Like,
watch this on video.
oh, okay.
Come on, Mark,
uh,
keep up.
I'm trying. Very good, very good. I have a little bad news I want to bring out at the beginning of the show here.
Better not be about Mr. Peaches.
No, Mr. Peaches is good, but his mama is having issues.
Oh no.
They think she's got the vet did a blood test for leukemia, and it wasn't a complete leukemia blood test, so he's not absolutely sure what's going on. But what happened is something got her up under the chin last week, and I'm thinking it's probably a chipmunk or something, but it could be one of the cats from several houses down. Who knows? But could be leukemia. So we're hoping for the best. I mean, the other thing is you typically would isolate her, and we don't really have a way to do that. I mean, my wife is like, no way are we going to have her in the house here with the two dogs. The dogs really aren't socialized for cats.
They'd eat her alive.
I'm afraid that might happen.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like that's definitely what'll happen. It's another rag doll that you want.
Yeah. So we don't want that. Anyway, she's doing pretty good. I think she ate almost 100 treats yesterday. So, and she was chasing, her and one of the other ones were chasing a friggin' chipmunk today, which I'm like, I went up there and yelled at him and broke it all up. It's crazy. I don't know.
Listen, cats will do cat things. Nature will do nature's thing.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah, animals will come and go. I had 2 chickens die earlier in the week.
Really?
Yeah, you just gotta roll with it.
You don't know what it was that caused it.
No, the cold weather hit, and something must have made them ill before. A little bit lame. I'm thinking that it's a form of chicken mite, but
it's so complicated.
They're
It's hard to follow.
They're fragile, and when you keep them in dedicated areas and rodents get in there and everything else, nature's doing its thing. So
it's harder when they live in a confined area. Is that the problem?
Yeah, it's different. I mean, it's just a risk. It's a chicken. Everything wants to eat. It's the bottom of the totem pole,
Kind of like being a chipmunk, I guess.
Yeah, well, chipmunks are tough. Chipmunks are tough.
They are tough.
Yeah.
Man, I'm serious. And that's the silliest name for an animal in the world.
Chipmunk?
Yeah. What, in the Buddhist monk?
I don't know.
Catholic monk?
I had this conversation.
What's a chipmunk?
Well, monk is with a U, not with an O. But I had this conversation with Amanda last night. We're driving. And we're like, just, everything's bullshit. Everything's made up. Some dude sometime in history pointed at something and says, that's what that is.
Yeah, exactly. Totally.
Yeah, like driving on roads, road rules. It's dumb at the end of the day. But the reason humans do it is because we need to measure our world. We think that it helps us understand it. But in the course of us measuring things, we've actually distanced ourselves from nature. So,
doesn't like German. German's so much better. It's so much more logic behind it. They stick words together, compound words, and it makes sense to me.
Oh yeah, it's more complete thought without having to spew a bunch of bullshit. I mean, like, we could probably take our hour episodes and bring them down to 5 minutes if we were speaking in German.
Are you serious? Come on, man, not 5 minutes.
Nah,
seriously.
Know what I mean? No, yeah, just being a pain in the ass.
Well, just think about it. Chip and monk. What do those two words have to do with each other?
I don't know.
Nothing. It's just crazy.
Doesn't make any sense. Nothing makes sense. It's just a bunch of made up stuff everywhere, and we're like, yep, that's it.
No wonder our brains are somewhat fried.
Of course they're fried. There are all these bullshit rules, whether it come from politics or just society as a whole or the internet. It's like these things aren't real.
Did I tell you I had to go down to jury duty a couple times, like this past week and the week before?
Mark, you put your hand on the Bible and you say, I don't swear to shit. And then they're like, you need to get out of here. Yeah. I don't have a God. I have no interest in this. I'm going to tell you how I really feel, and I don't swear to shit. They're going to be like, you are not the person we want in here.
I was thinking of trying to say something like that, but the guy pled guilty, so it didn't matter. But it was crazy. Yeah, I just think it's a terrible way they do that. Take 25 people out of their lives, and they did pay me $20, but that's pretty weak.
Wow, $20. Nice. Pays for a cup of coffee at Starbucks.
Exactly. Anyway.
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right, I digress horribly.
No, please digress. Digress all you like.
But you go into those courtrooms and the doors are like 10 feet tall.
Well, Mark,
it's weird shit. It's all psychological.
It's all psychological. It's big and grand and powerful and fucking judgment. Like, come on. You got a dude sitting in robes? Please, I'd rather have a guy in a loincloth tell me I'm guilty.
Yeah, the judge did come in, and after 20 minutes later, those people sitting in that room for 20 minutes, he comes in and says, "Oh, he pled guilty." So, I mean, I never got to see who the guy was, or I don't know what it was about.
Just some guilty dude, Mark. Doesn't matter what he looks like.
I hear they have like 95, 96% conviction rates. I mean, almost everybody comes out
if you're in court. Something happened. Yeah, unless it's totally white collar and you're getting sued and your lawyers show up for you. No.
Yeah.
You're getting convicted.
So anyway. Okay, man. Sorry about this. I'm always tangents.
No, I kind of like it. It's just, there's a lot of bullshit going on.
There is so much BS. Did you watch the discussion between the two presidential appointees?
No. Remember I told you I'm totally apolitical. I did hear about the cats and dogs, though.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Springfield, Ohio. 2 or 3 hours away.
Yeah, well, Mark, if you're running low on food, I mean, you got plenty of cats running around.
Horrible, man. That's terrible, crazy stuff.
Well, you got to remember the rest of the world, they eat horses, they eat everything. It's just over here we don't eat that stuff.
Okay, so this kind of, I'm going to gradually get to where we want to go.
Okay, push me
Let's go the book of Romans 12:9. You can do Bible Gateway if you want.
Yeah, hold on. Let me just pull out my book of Romans. I should have brought my goatskin Bible, Mark. Shame on me.
Of course.
All right. What's it called? Book of Romans?
Bible Gateway.
Yeah, no, Book of Romans. What are we on? What's the section?
12:9.
They do it like a ratio, last I remember. Okay, got it.
Love must be sincere. Hate what is evil. Cling to what is good. Notice that we are told to hate what is evil. Now, at least for me, that works for me. I think that's one of the reasons we're in trouble is, for example, overpopulation is evil, but we tolerate it.
I don't tolerate it.
We should hate overpopulation.
Here's the problem here. You know what hate is? This is why this quote's fucked up and also inaccurate. I'm going to walk you through it.
Okay.
Do you know what hate is?
Hate is, that's a very good question. Hate is an attitude, a thought process, and it's usually related to emotion.
It's a mismanagement of emotion completely based on fear because of unknowledgeness.
That's a great definition. Where'd you get that?
I just came up with it.
Whoa. Good job.
So let me tell you something. When you go to hate something, that means you don't understand it. When you hate it, it's emotionally welling up something inside of you because you don't know how to control it because, again, you don't understand. Because you don't understand it, you don't understand yourself. So when you go to hate something that is evil, that means you must have some sort of evil inside of yourself to even feel a sense of hate. I'm not saying don't understand evil. I'm saying don't hate it because bad begets bad, all right? Evil in and of itself, if you do not understand it, if you do not integrate with it, then you'll never actually be able to understand what love is in that sense, what true understanding would be. Okay, you don't know how to be sincere if you can't understand evil. But hating something which is already negative and putting more negative energy towards it, do you think that begets a positive? Does that neutralize it in any way, shape, or form?
No, I think you bring up a really good definition. Very, very good. So,
what's the last part of the quote here? What does it say? Cling to what?
Cling to what is good.
All right, when you cling to things, right, like someone's pulling on my drug rug right now, they're attached. And when you cling to that which is good, when you do that, you also wrap up your identity in it and you overpolarize to a certain side. You move yourself out of equilibrium. You don't need to cling to things, right? You need to understand and integrate with them, but you don't need to physically, parasitically latch yourself onto that stuff.
I think you're making very good arguments.
The way I think, Mark, is how do I look at the world in the most unbiased view and maintain a perfect equilibrium so that when I take information in, I can see it from both sides, and I will not be swayed by either side. I just look at it for what it is. I'm not going to cling. I'm not going to attach. I'm not going to hate. I'm not going to dismay. I'm not going to do any of those things. I'm going to take it for what it is, because the whole thing's a fucking farce anyway when you look at what's going on around us. If there's something evil going on, that's because there's just more bullshit of people service to self trying to control and amass this power spectrum, which is completely unnecessary and out of whack with nature. So when I look at that, I'm like, that right there is untrue. So why would I take that and have that drum up some emotions of hate, push hate towards this thing which is unreal in the first place? That makes me fucking crazy.
So most people would say hate is like a intense or passionate dislike. But you had a better definition. I don't know if you can remember what you said or not.
No, hate is a lack of understanding towards something. That's really what it is.
That is really good.
It's uncontrolled emotions due to a lack of understanding of something, which builds up fear, and then that fear is projected as hate. That's all it is.
Is that up on the, doesn't Figu have like a dictionary?
They do have a dictionary. I don't go on that site very much, but they do have a dictionary.
You don't like the Figu dictionary?
No, I'm not. I didn't say I didn't like it. I just said I don't go on it much.
Just don't go on it that much.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to find things sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's not perfected.
No, it's also probably you have to know how you're going to execute your query. So if we said hate.
Yeah. Mark, check this out. I'm going to share something with you.
Okay.
Billy Meyer showed up, what, in the 40s?
41, 42 is his first.
Yeah, I'm teeing you up here.
Mm-hmm.
He's been around for 86 years, maybe a little bit more, right?
He's getting into his later 80s.
Getting pretty old. He's going to die soon. All right. Everything we're talking about is very young. To even be discussing subjects like this, this is new to society. The ideas of this died a long time ago. And so it got brought back. And so us as people discussing it, we're bringing back something. This is the beginning of a very, very long journey and transformation for human civilization. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it begins here with these small discussions on things like exopolitics, on higher density living, or interviewing
right.
people, or reading books, whatever it might be. It begins here. And it's going to be a long, long process that will continue to outlive us. But we are here in the beginning talking about it. So yes, the website's not perfected. Many of these things will grow and evolve over time. But the important part is that we started the cycle of pushing and talking about things that are actually truthful and timeless within themselves. That's the real juice of this whole thing.
So it even has here that hate mentality is a characteristic of psychopaths.
Of course it is. It's totally unbalanced. It's a non-regulated mind. And when the mind becomes unregulated, so do the hormones in the body. Then the whole thing's just out of whack. Now, if you got these, you have, I think it's DRD1 and DRT2, or some sort of nomenclature like that. They could get mixed. It's serotonin and melatonin receptors in the brain. And when you start to live in a world of hate, those things are completely suppressed and unused. And so all you feel is this crazy polarized side of rage and fear and hate and divisiveness.
Let me ask you this question. And you wouldn't know for sure the answer, but it'd be interesting to get your take on it. I'm not sure if Paul, when he said hate, really meant hate in a true, intense sense of the word, because you're right, because if hate runs wild, it becomes insanity, right?
Can I share something with you, Mark? All right.
Go ahead.
If you're going to write something, write what you mean. Do not put something down hoping that people will figure it out. Be clear with what you say and your definition and word choice. That word was chosen specifically. It's not like they wrote it to mean something else. That's exactly what it means. Even if you translate it from the original Hebrew, right? I bet you it has the same exact meaning with what's going on.
It may. This was the New Testament.
Think about if you were writing something so important, Mark. Would you want to put, ambiguity in there? No, you would not. Well, you would want to put disambiguity.
Here's the one thing that blew me away when I found out about this, that there was no letter J in the ancient world. And not until like 1600. So every Jerusalem, every Jesus, it was not accurate. Yeah.
Jerusalem.
Yeah, isn't it crazy? It's totally crazy.
It's interesting to see the development of letters over time.
Yeah.
And their use and their adoption, the phonetics around it. That's actually kind of cool. It has a pretty rich history to it.
But I think it'd be very interesting to study this particular verse in a little more depth. But I think all your answers are legitimate. Very good comebacks, very good questions, very, very good information.
Yeah, I'll tell you, if I read something in the Bible that hits and makes sense and is balanced and logical, sure, I'll tell you. But this right here is completely illogical, and it's not teaching people the right stuff.
For me, it does kind of hit home, because there are something we tolerate, like, for example, let's talk about overpopulation now.
Okay.
This is something evil that we tolerate. We should be, I don't know if hating is maybe the best word to use, but we should be able to identify it as a problem. For example, Dhaka, Bangladesh was what I was studying, has a population density of over 23,000 people per square kilometer.
Mm-hmm.
This is an incredible population density. And then the water's black. It's so dirty. The population of Bangladesh in 1950 was about 30 million. In 2022, it was 170 million.
Yep.
The roads are some of the most dangerous in the world. These poor little people, they're running these rickshaws.
Yeah, I love the rickshaws.
Cool. Anyway, Bangladesh used to be part of Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
It split off a while back. So anyway, this is an example of just a horrific situation that if we would do some kind of planning or something, we could at least start to rectify the problem. But it's still running wild as far as I can tell.
Yeah, check this out. All right, Mark. If I go to say that I hate something, like overpopulation, what's the next question? Okay.
How much do you hate it?
No, not how much.
What else?
Because how much is too it's too qualitative to the individual. Like, okay, you hate overpopulation. Understood. Well, what about it do you hate? I'm asking you, Mark. Just role play with me here for a second.
Okay.
What about it do you hate?
I hate traffic.
Uh-huh.
I hate bad traffic.
Okay.
I hate, what I really, really hate, and I can remember this from being a kid, that all the green goes away, all the trees, all the grass, all the plants, and I look at brick and blacktop and all these things that I look at that are not plant-based cause a kind of thinking in me that's hopeless. It feels very depressed. I don't know if you've ever experienced that.
Of course, that's why I have no interest in cities.
I don't either, man.
So check this out. Keep walking through me here. Overpopulation. Okay? You hate it. We understand that it's a bad thing. It's not good for us. It just, in the word, it's overpopulated. It's not populated. It's just overpopulated. What about it do you hate? Give me something quantitative here, Mark. What is it about the measurement of your hate? Explain it to me.
Well, it affects my mental health in a way that's unhealthy.
Okay. All right. So this is about you. This isn't about overpopulation.
Could be.
So
I don't know.
No, here's my point. When you go to hate something, right, even in overpopulation, what you're doing is you're actually projecting about some internal thing that you dislike with yourself. All right?
Interesting.
Now, if you were to ask me, Mark, go ahead. Let's vice versa. How do I feel about overpopulation? Go ahead.
How do you feel? How does it make you feel?
No, let me tell you how it makes me feel. It makes me feel that humanity is making poor decisions because of the impact that it's having on itself. Now, when there are overpopulated areas like that, which we find in Bangladesh, there is a crazy concentration of resources that have to be used, and pressures get created in a socioeconomic sense and also a mental sense with the thought patterns of those people in those areas. And what it does is that creating this pressure mentally, socially, and economically creates a slurry of problems that is not good for the planet, flora, fauna, or human beings themselves. And when we're in there in such deep concentrate, we have to pull resources from other areas at accelerated rates, draining them just to support these centers of life, which are completely overburdened in and of itself, so it has to overburden things outside of it. It's not that I hate overpopulation, just the way I see it is that it's interlinked into everything else. And so if you were to say, hey, Mark, or hey, Alexander, you're talking about it being overlinked. So the way I see myself with the world is not hating it, but just understanding that I am interlinked with it. And so when I see these other areas, when I see the evils of overpopulation, when I see the negative consequences of such population densities, there's no way to escape it on a closed system of planet Earth. That thing directly affects you and me, Mark. And not in a good manner. And that's why we, as a total collective of human beings, have to find the management of it. Now, I don't need to hate it. I just have to understand the impact of it. And if I can understand myself and how I'm integrated into that process, then I can come to find a solution rather than just saying, this stirs me up, this gets me mad, this makes me feel bad. You track?
So, yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. If you can be neutral about it, you're certainly going to feel better.
Correct. Because hate brings no solution. Hate just says, I hate this. Well, all right, great. Well, what do you find as a solution? If I hate something about myself, if I look in the mirror, I'm like, I hate that. What am I going to do? Bitch about it all the time? Or am I going to find a solution to how I'm feeling?
It's an incredible situation in Bangladesh.
It's not just Bangladesh. It's tons of cities throughout Africa, the Philippines, all of Southeast Asia.
What's interesting is that each situation is a little different. You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't. Explain.
Well, for example, in Bangladesh is only about the size of, say, Ohio and Indiana put together.
Okay.
When you talk about China, you're talking about something with 1.5 billion, 1.6 billion.
Yeah. And
these guys only have maybe 170 million people. So it doesn't sound like that bad, if you go by the numbers. But if we get in there, you see the population density is so horrific.
Can't go by the numbers. Can't go by.
Yeah, you can't go by the numbers.
When you just say, "Oh, there's just only 130 million," 130 million in Ohio. That's disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, have you been to New York City? Which has a concentrate of like 16 million people. That's disgusting.
I've never been to the New York. Is it really bad?
Never been to the Big Apple?
No, never.
I have no interest in it.
Can you even drive there?
Yeah, you can drive. It's a waste of goddamn time and money trying to park your car. The place is exhausting. It smells like ass all the time. I don't want to be there. Yeah, gross. And there's no way to turn off all the lights which are on all the time, so it completely throws off your clock. And you're
trying to sleep
with noise constantly. It just pegs you, whether it be subways, buses, sirens, just construction.
It never goes away.
No, it's ruthless. It's punishing on the human beings. I don't know why people choose to live there.
See, I think what you're doing now is very important. People should do this, like discuss, like you with the sound. That's very perceptive. Because that's taken a toll on people.
People haven't experienced peace and silence. They haven't found it, because if they really did, they'd be like, I am not going back there. That's their thing. They have no concept of what peace feels like. And so for them, they're like, this is just my way of life. I grew up in here. Well, what do you think's going to happen? That's all you know, right? You can't find anything else.
I grew up in Cincinnati, and it was like that.
Yeah.
Noise all the time. And it wasn't until I got out of there that I'm like, dude. I was doing some job interviews, and I said whether I get this job or not, I'm coming out here to live. I'm going to figure out a way to live. So anyway, it all came out okay. I got the job anyway, but you're right. When you can't even escape from the noise, it's unbelievable.
Think about the noise in their minds.
Well, yeah.
I couldn't even count the amount of times and amount of hours I've spent in New York City. New York
You've
City,
been there a lot?
Philadelphia, Boston, Baltimore. Yeah, you name it, I've been there. Miami, Houston, Austin, San Francisco, like there.
You've been all over.
Chicago, Chi-Town, yeah. I've been all over.
Can I ask,
Mark, I wouldn't speak about these things if I actually haven't experienced them. Otherwise, it'd be totally inappropriate. I'd just be making shit up.
Yeah. What have you probably been to Chicago? Chicago's bad too.
I've been to Chi-Town. I'm not really I don't really like it that much.
I mean,
don't like
it's
cities.
So crowded. It's so crowded.
I don't like cities. Yeah.
There's one of the big cities in China. I forget the name of it now.
Mm-hmm.
Where, if I heard the name, I'd remember it. But they have like 40 lanes of traffic. You know how we have lanes?
Yeah, I remember you brought this up. Yeah. That's the funnel into the city. That's correct.
Yeah. Is that what they call it?
What?
The funnel under the city?
No, I'm just saying that's what they do. They just funnel. They funnel in. It's not it's just dumb. Yeah.
So anyway, maybe you bring up a good case that hate is a pretty irrational word in the way most people understand it.
Yeah, totally is. I see hate every day. It's just people. They're just scared.
Even if you're talking about something completely disgusting like pedophilia, hate is maybe not the best way to
I don't hate pedophiles. Do I disagree with their life choices? Absolutely. Do I think it's disgusting? Yes. I think it's totally unnatural, and it's a power play over, weaker human beings. Don't do that.
Right.
All of that's wrong, and they're also twisted in their own mind. I don't hate them, though. You want to know why? No matter how disgusting it is of what somebody does, murder, rape, pedophilia, I don't care what it is, bestiality, it doesn't matter. I still respect them as a human being and making choices. Why? Because I, through my own free will, through nature itself and my consciousness, I am also allowed to make choices. I do not want to restrict people from making choices. I want them to be better educated on how they make their choices and the impact of them. But I will never hate them for making choices, no matter how evil, gross, and disgusting they may be.
Even war, then, with that perspective, you could say, I'm not even going to allow myself to hate war.
I can't hate war, because then what am I doing? My emotions are then at war with the war itself. And what's that going to do?
Right. It's hard to think.
You can't think. You're consumed. You're consumed. Right. That's why politics are just ridiculous. And people they cling, Mark. They cling themselves to these ideas, these narratives. It's so easy to be emotionally tied up, but if you remove yourself, it's bullshit. Like removing yourself outside of a city. You're like, I don't need to integrate or deal with those things. If nobody voted, guess what? What's the government going to do? Come wrangle everybody up, all 313 million Americans? No, not a chance. It's because we keep giving them attention, it gives them more of that power. That's what people don't get.
I don't think I will vote this time.
Why would you? It's a corrupt system anyway. Your vote doesn't mean shit.
It's so corrupt. I mean, they can switch those votes and those voting machines to be anything they want it to be.
It's not even that. When you go to vote, you're voting for another dude who hopefully votes in your favor to put somebody else in power. It's two tiers away from you. You really don't have direct impact on it.
Because of the electoral
college. It's just a bunch of crap. It's a bunch of crap.
You don't like that system. You don't like that system.
It's made up. It's a joke. It's a technology of control. I have no interest in those things. It's totally unnatural. Do you think chickens in their pecking order have an electoral college? No. The strong should be in the responsibility of protecting the strong, protecting the weak, not abusing them, not setting up a system to maintain power just for power's sake. That just tells me how weak they are. All of these things we do are completely unnatural and detached from nature. Don't put your time into it. It's a waste. It's a fucking waste, dude. I don't get, Mark, I don't understand why everyone's so wrapped up in all this shit. It's dumb. It's really, really stupid.
Well, I think there's a lot of corruption too.
You don't have to think, you see it. It's obvious.
We have dead people voting and all sorts of stuff, you know, it's so corrupted.
Think about how much money is wasted in the military industrial complex. Oh, poof, gone. Oh, okay. So who do we blame? Some nameless figure? The whole thing is a gaffe. Absolute gaffe.
So let's talk about, and this kind of works into our idea of impulses, right?
Yep.
You know, peace, for example, is good. And an impulse is a sudden, strong, unreflective urge or desire to act. Sometimes I feel that, like when I feel like I need to do something, like when I was working on this show and getting these concepts together, I feel this unreflective urge, like, wow, like it's time to move.
Must do.
Right. So if we look, for example, at the procreative act and the development of the embryo, isn't it the embryo that only has impulse bases? They only have impulses.
No. So what happens? Here's what goes on. So after the sperm goes into the female egg, and that egg buries itself into the uterine wall, okay, and says, okay, I'm going to stay here for a bit. You have this mitosis of the cells. They start to split, okay, and the genetic code developing blended together between sperm and egg start to develop the embryo itself, right? And then from there, the incubation of a human being inside the womb. Now, at day 21 is when the energy, the
spirit form comes in.
Yeah. I'm trying to keep it simple. This
there's no way.
Yeah. This piece of energy flies into the vessel to say, okay, I'm going to hang out here. All right. It's like the battery just got dropped in. All right. We're going to charge this thing up. This thing's good for one lifetime. When it's in there too, it's going to bring a fresh personality with it. Now, in doing so, it is going to receive, because it is now connected to this thing called an overall consciousness block. There's this greater amount of life from previous lives that have occurred that this new fetus is pulling information from, impulses from its unconscious to the subconscious, okay? Because the brain and everything is now developed. So there's impulses that come in that will develop naturally through this child over time. Now, if it listens after it's been born, post that point, those impulses can be collected, and it can also see like, oh, interesting that I have this impulse driving me to go do this thing. What does that tell me about myself? You can start to pay attention to it more. Now it's not just this, I have this impulse, go do something. I don't even know why I'm doing it. Now it becomes a development beyond that, right? It's to say, I'm taking these impulses in, recognizing them that I'm pushed to do this. Maybe I catalog it. Maybe I just remember it in my brain. I could go do it or choose not to chase that impulse. But both of those things are there. But the impulses still occur at a very innate young stage of the development of life itself. Now, some animals are strictly on an impulse-based consciousness, but we have a consciousness-based consciousness where we have the ability to think. So we get the impulses, plus we have the ability to choose to act on them or not. Now, in the stage of when something's inside this womb and it's growing, it is kicking, it is moving, it is stretching, it is feeling life. It has all the aspects of who you and I are, Mark, already, but it's in the young development of that thing. So it still gets those impulses, but it gets them in a little bit of a different format, because it's not, actively thinking about the impulse and using it, but it is having the impulse to kick and expand and move and shift inside of that womb itself.
So the embryo feels impulses.
It has to. It's already connected. At day 21, this thing is already connected with all of its previous lives. So all of that rich information that has been stored, true evolutive information, love, peace, harmony, concord, all of those things, wisdom, there will be impulses that come from it. Energetic creational impulses from this greater floating storage bank of information that this child will be able to pull from.
The embryo moves and receives impulses then from the mother's body.
That's a little different. So the impulses you're talking about then are like chemical biological impulses. I thought you were talking more about just like purely like energetic impulses.
Sure, I am both. I think both are happening then.
Oh yeah,
correct?
so yeah, both are happening because they're interlinked, frankly. So yes, the child also gets impulses from the mother, and vice versa too. The mother gets impulses from the child.
And the mother then is in a very challenging responsibility to make sure that she eats good foods and doesn't put things into her body that might hurt the embryo.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the womb itself is designed right when it gets to the point where the placenta is developed. At that point, the baby is feeding just off of that system and not so much off the mother. It almost removes itself from what is happening with the mother. So if the mother begins to make more choices, it at least gives some sort of handicap barrier to prevent, bad things from coming in and affecting it. But it can overall still affect the baby if you're really plaguing, the body itself. The mother, becoming pregnant needs to be conscious that it's also incubating another life form in it. So as the mother is making choices, she has to begin to recognize this interlinked aspect of nature, which is a very creational law. So whatever she does, how she thinks, acts, breathes, meditates, eats, everything, where she puts herself in her environment, are going to have an impact in some way, shape, or form on the human being that is growing inside of them. And the cool part is if the mother can start to intuit and feel more about themselves, they almost begin to act in conversation with the life form inside of them, and they become more intuitive to the impulses that are occurring. And so the choices that are made are then for the best benefit of mother and child. And that will never go away. And that's why some mothers who really, really pay attention have such strong connections to their children post-birth.
Does the embryo have a personality?
So personalities are developed over time. So when the child is growing, it's a blank slate. It's brand new, totally brand new. And the second it comes out and it starts to absorb that world, personality begins to develop. The second it starts to sense things, personality is developed. At very elementary forms until personality becomes quite complex. And you have the richness of a developed character over time, and they establish that ratio of what it means to be a human being.
So maybe it doesn't have a personality yet, though, the embryo. It's too early to have a personality.
Yeah,
right?
It doesn't go in there and say, I'm going to be Ludwig von Beethoven. No, it doesn't do that.
Does it have a kind of consciousness?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's a chalkboard. Tabula rasa, blank slate.
So it lives initially only or mostly in an impulse-based situation, right?
I'd say, because it's not doing a ton.
It doesn't know language, right?
It does not know language. How could it?
Right. Yeah, right.
How could it?
It's very interesting when you get right down.
But you know what it does understand? Feeling.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
It gets that. It knows that it feels a certain way. That's why when the baby comes out, it's crying because it needs something. It doesn't speak. All it has is a natural automatic response to a need. And that's what it might be.
It's very interesting. Yeah, you don't want to be drinking alcohol and stuff like that.
No. You don't want to be smoking. You don't need to overburden a system that is trying to incubate more life.
Exactly. So let's shift gears a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about current events. They're talking about sending precision munitions, cruise missiles against the Russians in Ukraine.
Who's talking about it?
Like the U.S. They're talking about sending big cruise missiles, like with 2,000 to 3,000 pound payloads. And if they do this, that would have a good chance of creating World War III.
We're already in World War III.
You think it's going? This is it, huh?
Started a while ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's quite depressing.
Of course it's depressing. Did anybody ask the public if we want that?
No, that's the real gotcha there.
Yep.
I mean, for them to do this, because they haven't declared war.
Why would you?
They don't want to.
No, because then when you declare war, you also have certain rules you got to follow. Don't do that.
And you got to try to like win.
Well, and then you got to win, but then you put a timeline on it. Think about how this world's changed. They don't want to call it war. They're like, we just want this as an ongoing global conflict forever.
It's a conflict. And who's even in charge? Is it Kamala Harris? Is it Joe Biden?
Nope. You know who it is. I'm not going to bring it up again.
CIA.
Every time. Nailed it, buddy.
Okay.
They're the ones pushing them around. They push the puppets. They're the ones that control NATO. All that crap. If you look at the map of Europe and the growth of NATO over time, all you're seeing is more of the United States spreading over there.
Really?
It's a control mechanism, of course. They've encroached further and further and further against Russia. Why do you think Russia's not a part of NATO? So stupid.
So they're talking about nuclear weapons now.
They've been talking about nuclear weapons for a while. Absolute imbecilic, childish, corrupt, bullshit poppycock talk. They have no fucking clue. Not one iota what they are messing around with.
Yeah. And for some, now you will
to even bring that up as a threat just shows me your absolute total lack of reverence for life and intelligence. Right. You have no intelligence, zero at all. Never threaten something like that.
Are we going to repeat the wars of Atlantis? Boy, I hope not.
I hope not.
Yeah. The CA seems to be requiring Kamala to speak about John McCain. I don't know why. I just heard that a couple times.
It's I guess ridiculous, dude. Like, why? It's the past. What are you doing?
You know, they're blaming the Trump assassination attacks on Iran. They are.
I love how dumb all this stuff sounds. I have no idea what's going on when you tell me this. This sounds so stupid.
It does. And I guess we're having 5G now. They've flipped the switch on 5G. So everyone's getting cranked. And that's probably why some of us are feeling health problems. Very different kinds.
You know, I also want to share something.
Sure.
You know those big towers, big cell towers guys climb?
Oh, yeah.
Non-5G ones?
Are they non-5Gs?
Yeah, they're non-5G. They're too far away. They're too far away. Do you know how much radiation those things emit?
I've heard about this. It's like incredible amounts.
It's fucking nuts. Why? Because that thing has to travel massive distances. Now, when you talk about 5G, it's an enhanced hertz. So what it's doing is it's moving in a very short band, right? This frequency modulation, tons of information. So it has very a limited distance to it. So the radiation exposure at greater distance isn't as bad as actually those huge poles. But when you're close to a 5G, yeah, it's going to rack your fucking cells. It's like a microwave.
Wow.
But I don't live in a city, so I'm not, getting hammered with it. At least I get the inverted square law in physics of these larger poles, and I don't live next to those either. So I'll take degraded cell phone signal any day of the week. Give it to me. I don't want it to be perfect.
I think I might have sent you this, but the Silicon Valley executives now are forbidding that their children use this, I guess, cell phone technology.
Yeah, so there's a traveling school that people like Mark Zuckerberg and everybody else use, like all the richies, the richies. And their kids they don't use any phones, nothing, but they go to wherever this school is, and the school moves around. It's like a Montessori school on steroids.
Wow.
And the whole idea is that, and these technologists understand how addicting the technology can be, to be encapsulated and driven by the biases of the system. So if you see these individuals doing this, you should realize the obviousness. The creator who created these things is not using it. There's a problem.
Yeah. Parents in Silicon Valley are becoming increasingly obsessed with keeping their kids away from the screens some parents believe that spending even a short time in front of a screen can be so addictive that it is best if the child never touches nor sees those glowing triangles.
Yeah, look,
you
can't avoid it. You can't avoid it, but you have to build up internal management mechanisms for the self. Now, for kids, they haven't really developed it that quickly, so it's really easy to get them sucked into the format. And most of the material that they're sucking up on these devices are not things that are beneficial to their evolution.
Right.
All right? They're playing games.
Right.
They're playing Roblox, Minecraft, whatever the hell it might be. They're seeing, shit TikTok videos and all that other stuff that's going on. Those things are not beneficial to them. If they were absorbing Khan Academy, if they were reading creational material or like truly, beneficial things, that's different. If my kid's sitting there sucking up, I don't know, 20 hours of Animal Planet, understanding these ecosystems and what's going on, cool. All right. It's obviously something very interesting what you're learning about. But if they're sitting there watching, what the hell is the thing called? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. I have no idea. But you get
YouTube.
It. Yeah, YouTube. You get down holes because, again, it's an algorithmic thing.
Mm. So, maybe, I don't know if you can do this or not, but if I can, I like to turn off the cell phone. Don't leave it on. Just go back and check it periodically.
Yeah, I can't do that, but I'm glad you
can't do that.
No.
Yeah, some people can, some people can't.
And I can't do it because I'm reliant and responsible for the management of other things, and it has to be on.
Yeah. But you'd probably like it if you could turn it off.
I'd like to set it up at 300 yards and blast it with my 243 Winchester.
Oh, man. So, I don't quite understand the real addiction, the fascination.
With?
Some people literally cannot stop using their cell phone,
There's an addiction to technology. It's designed for the quick hits. And I know we've talked about this in the past, Mark.
Continue.
Yeah.
I think it's important to hit it again.
Yeah, it's like someone took the casino and put it in the palm of your hand. Right? The slot machines, all that stuff, all that technology perfected by Vegas is now sitting in your hand. How we're notified, all that stuff. And the attention mechanism has been shorted, so you get these really like blasted hits of dopamine. And you're like, I need to go back. I got to get more. I got to check my phone more. I got to see the feed. I want to know what's next. I'm addicted to absorbing whatever this thing might be. Even if nothing has changed, I got to be on here in case something does change because you want that next quick hit. It's almost like saying, I have to keep sitting at this slot machine. I have to keep pulling because maybe the next one will pay out.
What about the YouTubes with the crashes, the car chases, the motorcycle chases? Is that all part of getting addiction? You're just getting addicted? It's adrenaline. You get a big rush. I don't know if you've ever seen any of those.
Of course I've seen them. I spend ample amounts of time on YouTube.
The
crap I get on my feed. People like seeing things break. People like watching other people get hurt. It's gross in some respects.
It is gross. So, and I have to analyze that myself in my own spiritual life. It's like, okay, why am I going to click on this where I could see a car crash or a person thrown off a motorcycle? Why do I think I need to see that?
Because it happens, but you don't see it every day. And now it gives you an opportunity to watch it in kind of a removed manner.
Right.
People will watch it. People watch it all day. There are these experiments where they'd strap people to this chair and it would like shock them a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But the people who were doing the shocking didn't know that there was a real person on the other side of the thing. So they walk up and like press this panel. And they'd hear the person scream louder and louder and louder as they were going through these buttons. But they didn't understand that a real human being was on the other side because when you're removed from it, they're just interested to see what the response is. So it's like when you go to the YouTube video, you're just interested in seeing what the ending is. But you're completely detached from the mechanism that another human being just died on the other end of that video.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's damaging to yourself, right?
Of course it's damaging. It desensitizes you horrifically.
Yeah. What have you heard of these things? I think they're calling them phone contracts.
I don't know what you're talking about.
They basically state that, for example, a nanny must agree that she cannot use a screen in front of the child for any purpose.
Okay, cool.
Except for maybe that she can take calls from the parent.
Yeah, that seems fine.
Anyway, I thought that was very, very interesting.
There's a lot of caregivers, and I just know this firsthand, caregivers in whatever space, that they're on their phones. They're paying attention to it when they have other responsibilities. They're there to caregive, not caregive to the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm paying you, pay attention to the goddamn kids.
So, here's the thing.
What?
We've talked about the addiction to unreality.
Yeah.
In the car chases and the crashes and all that, they are real, but they're not your reality.
No, they're not.
You know what I'm saying?
No, they're not. And you become addicted to living in other people's realities, which is not real for you.
I know.
Like,
right?
Oh, he's got that new Gucci belt, or she's got that handbag, or that person looks like this with that lip plumper. That's somebody else's fucking reality. Let them do that. It has nothing to do with you.
Yeah, you mentioned that lip plumper. You mean the women that get the big, thick lips?
Yeah, the filler, right? Because someone has distorted this idea that women should look like that. Why?
Yeah.
Social media.
Oh, man. It's kind of tacky. It's gross sometimes. I feel sorry for these women. I do.
It's disgusting.
Sometimes they're beautiful before they mess with themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They get these. And the Botox is toxic, I've heard.
The last part of Botox is tox, which is the beginning of the word toxic.
Yeah, it should tell you. I mean, you're familiar with that.
I'm very familiar. It's like second most poisonous thing when it comes to toxins that you can put inside you.
Are you serious? Mm-hmm. Oh my God. That's horrific.
Mark, you're freezing cells.
Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, it's
disgusting.
Yeah, it's gross.
God, we're almost out of time, unfortunately. There's a very famous bodybuilder. His name is Mike O'Hearn.
Okay.
And he has a very good reputation of, for the most part, eating right, probably not using too many steroids. But the guy is so vain. I mean, he's a handsome guy, but he puts Botox in his face. And I'm like, oh my God, that's completely against, that's just backwards to me. I'm sorry.
Who are you apologizing to?
Him, myself. What do you think of that? Any comment?
On apologizing?
No. On the Botox, the bodybuilder using Botox.
He has a distorted view of himself.
He does, doesn't he?
He's completely unhappy with his natural image. He's in the game of bodybuilding. What the fuck is that?
Good point.
It's not like they call it human building. They call it bodybuilding. That's the only sole focus. Not about the mind. It's not about the spirit. It's just about the body. How just making it look a way that it either should or shouldn't.
Okay, I'm going to switch our gears again. Sorry about this. Atlantis, did you know, I didn't know this, that their wars raged for 2 millenniums?
Yeah, a long time.
I did not know it was that long.
Remember I told you this? What's going on with our World War III? They'll drag that shit on as long as they can.
Oh, my God.
It's not like
2,000 years
1942 to 1946, World War II, and then it ended. No, that stuff's dead. That's gone. We don't do that anymore. Not the 100-Year War, the War of the Roses, or any of that stuff. That stuff's gone. Totally gone, Mark. They will drag this shit off into oblivion. It's just a narrative.
It's unbelievable.
No, you don't have to believe it. It's happening. It's just what it is.
Jeez.
People will pick away at each other, just nipping and nipping and nipping until the lameness sets in, and then you can cannibalize one another like chickens.
2,000 years of war. Can you imagine the opportunity cost?
No.
You could have been doing something useful, helpful.
Living, not killing each other.
Right. Alexander, thank you, man.
Mark, appreciate all the gear shifts, my friend. Thanks for having me on Ohio ExoPolitics. I really appreciate it.
Okay, buddy. We'll talk again soon.
Talk to you later, man. Talk to you later.